Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelsey and let's go over my summer reading plans. So this is a video I like to do every season, I would say, where I'm going to go over my different reading plans, the books I plan to read for that, just so you can get some anticipation for the videos I have coming out. So I guess we could get started right away. This is going to be my plans for June, July, and August. I think we could just get started with the first video planned that I have. It is to read some of the 2026 book releases that I pre-ordered but haven't gotten to yet. Let's start, I guess, with the first one, which is Half His Age by Jeanette McCurdy. This came out, I believe, in January, and I still haven't read it. I read Jeanette McCurdy's first novel, which was her biography, and this is her first foray into fiction, and I believe it is involving a student teacher dynamic and like critiquing the ways in which these dynamics happen. Looking forward to this. I've seen very mixed reviews, so I'm interested to see where I fall into. The next book is another anticipated read from me. It is The Ending Writes Itself by Evelyn Clark. This came onto my radar. I don't usually read thrillers, but Evelyn Clark is a writing duo between V.E. Schwab and Kat Clark. So V.E. Schwab is my favorite author, really, of all time, I believe. So obviously I was very intrigued by this idea. V.E. Schwab usually writes fantastical stuff, and I've never read from Kat Clark before. So this duo writing a mystery thriller together makes me feel like there's probably going to be some sort of fantastical aspect to it. So I'm looking forward to it. It's very intriguing to me. It follows an author dying, and he, before dying, invites a bunch of authors to an island to finish his final novel, and obviously they start getting picked off. A very and then there were none type of vibe, and I think it could work really interestingly with a fantastical aspect. I hope I'm not hyping it up too much in my head. And then the last 2026 release is Sweet Bitter Song by Rosie Hewlett. This was recommended to me by my friend Ness, and they personally messaged me and told me to buy this book and to read it. So if that is not a raving recommendation to me, I don't know what is. This seems to be a retelling of Penelope and Odysseus, but using the relationship she has with her like maiden named Melantho, and they used to be friends before Penelope married Odysseus. It's a thick boy, but I'm excited for it. So that is the first vlog you can expect in the month of June. The next vlog I plan on doing is one that I have been putting off for quite a bit. I want to read the entire Game Changers series. I read and released a video on Heated Rivalry and The Long Game. Just for a little plug that I'm still in love with it. I want to read the whole series and get a grasp on the characters that we can expect in the second season. So this is me like just getting ahead and learning who I can see who will grace my screen. Obviously, because Shane and Ilya are in the last book and the book is all about them, we do meet all these other characters or get like a glimpse into their life, but they are characters that I want to just simply be more prepared for. So I'm going to start with Game Changer, which follows Kit and Scott. Heated Rivalry will be a reread for me, and this time I'm planning on annotating it just because it was such a wonderful experience for me at the beginning of this year and the end of last year. So I want to reread this, which follows Shane and Ilya. Then we're getting into a character that I don't really know, which is Ryan Price and his relationship with his musician friend named Fabian. Then we have Common Goal, and this is with Eric Bennett, who is a veteran goaltender, and then Kyle Swift, who is a graduate student. And all I know of Kyle is that he runs the bar that Kip and his friends go to in the episode 3 of Heated Rivalry, and they're like, "Thank you, Kyle," because he gives them like shots and stuff. So excited for him. Then we have Role Model, which follows Troy Barrett, and he is the player who joins the Centaurs after Ilya joins, and he just wants to be like left alone, but he ends up falling in love with the social media person of the Centaurs named Harris. And then obviously a reread of The Long Game, which follows Shane and Ilya again in preparation for Unrivaled, which is probably going to come like next year, I think. And I want to reread this because I didn't enjoy it as much as Heated Rivalry, but I think I need to like get over the cringiness because they did fall in love in like the early 2000s into 2010s. So I think I need to get over that and just like appreciate it for what it is. So this is like an anticipated vlog for me because I've been putting it off, but I've been really wanting to read the entire series for a while. After that, I've had this video idea for so many years. It has transformed. I've added some books, taken off some books, but I really want to read the books that are on my shelves that I simply put off because I think I won't enjoy them. So I decided, why not just make a whole video where I'm forcing myself to read these books so I don't DNF them unless they're like really, really, really horrible and I'm dying. But these are the three that I've selected so far because I don't see myself really enjoying them. So the first is The Hexologist by Josiah Bancroft. I bought this book 3-4 years ago. It was part of my friend Danny or Current Chapters book club, and I was really, really behind on the book club, so I didn't get a chance to read this, but all was well because it seemed like no one really liked it in the book club. Unfortunately, that really turned me off for ever picking it up and reading it again, especially because I wasn't forced to do so for a book club anymore. So it follows the Hexologists, which are Isolde and Warren Wilby, who are quite accustomed to helping desperate clients with the bugbears of city life. Aided by hexes and a bag of charmed relics, the Wilbys are well acquainted with the weird, and they never shy away from a challenging case. When they are approached by the royal secretary and told the king pleads to be baked into a cake, going so far as to wedge himself inside a lit oven, Wilby soon find themselves embroiled in a mystery that could very well see the nation turned on its head. So they have to essentially like help the king, who is potentially hexed, it sounds like. So we'll see if I like it. If I do, that's unfortunate because I wasn't able to be the one in the book club to sing its praises. Then we have a romantasy that split my booktube friend group in half. Some people told me I will absolutely love this romantasy, and some people told me I will absolutely hate it. And so I really, really, really want to see which side I belong to. And that is for, of course, From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This seems to be a pretty decisive romantasy. It also seems to be like one of the first big romantasies on TikTok. So we'll see which camp I fell into. I don't even know what From Blood and Ash is about, despite the fact that it's so big. Poppy is living a life of a maiden who lives in solidarity, never to be touched, never to be looked upon, never to be spoken to. Waiting for the day of her ascension, she would rather be with the guards, fighting back the evil that took her family, than preparing to be found worthy by the gods. But the choice has never been hers. Hawk, a golden-eyed guard honor bound to ensure her ascension, enters her life. Destiny and duty become tangled with desire and need. Okay, so we have like sort of a princess in a castle with a guard romance, which could work for me. And then finally, we have The Last Wish by Andrzej Sapkowski. Every woman that I've seen read this series says that this book sucks. So that is partly why I think I won't like it. But basically, this is what the video game The Witcher is based off of. And some people say that the video game is better than the book series, and some people say the books are better than the video game series. I don't know either. I've played a little bit of The Witcher. I've watched a lot of walkthroughs of The Witcher, but I think I put it off a lot because I wanted to experience the novel on its own. So this is a short story collection, from what I understand, of like different adventures that Geralt goes on. We'll see how it is. I'm not expecting to love this, but it could surprise me. I don't know. And then after I'm expecting to give a bunch of books 1 star, why not read a bunch of 5-star predictions? So for that, I've picked 3. These are kind of subject to change because I might want something different. I don't know. But we have the first book, which is Monstrilio by Gerardo Samano Cordova. This is a story about grief where after her son dies, a mother carves out like a small piece of her child's lung and then grows it and raises it to be like a little sentient being named Monstrilio, who she keeps hidden in the walls of her childhood home. Hello. Kind of cute, I must say. So as being a new mom myself, this is probably going to be devastating. And I feel like when things are devastating and they make me cry, I give them 5 stars. Next, we have a book that I've had on my TBR for a really, really long time. This is The Three-Body Problem by Shixian Liu. Apparently, it's like one of the best science fiction novels, and I love me some science fiction. So I think I could probably enjoy this. I don't really know what it's about at all, though. I just know it's very science heavy. Set against the backdrop of China's Cultural Revolution, a secret military project sends signals into space in an attempt to make contact with aliens, and they succeed. An alien civilization on the brink of destruction captures the signal and plans to evade Earth. Now on Earth, different camps forming, planning to either welcome the superior beings and help them take over a world seen as corrupt, or to fight against the invasion. The result is a science fiction masterpiece of enormous scope and vision. That sounds fantastic. I love science fiction that looks at political dynamics of our current realities in society. So this could be a definite hit. And then lastly, another romantasy. Look at me reading a lot of romance this month. We have The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow. The minute I heard about this book and I saw the beautiful cover, I was like, I feel like I'm going to give that 5 stars. So this follows a legend named Sir Una Everlasting, who was history's greatest hero, a lost girl who could draw a sword from the heartwood and become a legend. The knight's epic feats were rivaled only by her tragic fate, a sacrifice that saved a queen and built an empire. Centuries later, Owen Mallory has dedicated his life to Una Everlasting, abandoning a promising scholarly career to defend his country. He comes home from a war broken and weary until he finds a reason to live in the pages of a mysterious book. From what I understand, he goes back in time and falls in love with Una Everlasting. I don't know. Sounds like a hit to me. That sounds like something I would fiends over. Those are what you can expect for the month of June. Let's move into my July TBR, which I'm looking at and is very, very scary. So, because July 1st is Canada Day and I am Canadian, I wanted to read 3 books from Canadian authors because I'm Canada down and I have a lot on my TBR, but these are like the most popular, I would say, and I do really, really want to give them all a shot. The first is one that I feel like is very, very timely, and nonfiction like this tends to really work for me. But this is One Day Everyone Will Have Always Been Against This by Omar El Akkad. This is a look on like the Western societal dream, what it means to live in a West that betrays its fundamental values. We're looking at how the West views the Middle East and how Arab and Muslim populations are treated within the West. And I think it's very timely based on what is going on right now with the current occupation of Palestine, Israel being funded essentially by the West to kill these Palestinians. A very timely memoir nonfiction that I'm very, very, very intrigued by, and I've seen nothing but excellent things about this one. So that's the first one I would like to read. Then we have We Could Be Rats by Emily Austen, another Canadian author that I feel like a lot of people praise. This is about a young girl named Sigrid who hates working at the dollar store, having always resisted the idea of growing up into the trappings of adulthood. Her older sister Margaret is baffled and frustrated by Sigrid's inability to conform to the expectations of society, but Sigrid's detachment veils a deeper turmoil and sensitivity. She is haunted by the pains of her past. As Margaret sets out to understand Sigrid and the secret she's hidden, both sisters, in their own time and way, discovered that reigniting their shared childhood imagination is the only way forward. So I love stories about sisters, and I love a depressed main character, so I think this could really work for me. And then the last book is the last Emily St. John Mandel book I have on my TBR currently, although I think there is a new release this year, which is really exciting. But this is The Sea of Tranquility, and it follows Edwin St. Andrew, who is 18 years old when he crosses the Atlantic by a steamship, exiled from polite English society following an ill-conceived diatribe at a dinner party. I don't know what that means. Enters the forest spellbound by the beauty of the Canadian wilderness and suddenly hears a note of a violin echoing in an airship terminal, an experience that shocks him to his core. 2 centuries later, a famous writer named Olive Llewellyn is on a book tour. She's traveling all over Earth, but her home is the second moon colony, a place of white stone, spired towers, and artificial beauty. Within the text of Olive's best-selling pandemic novel lies a strange passage. A man plays his violin for spirit change in the echoing corridor of an airship terminal as the trees of the forest rise around them. So we're going to be having intermingling timelines, intermingling characters, something that I find Emily St. John Mandel is really good at. I know that a lot of her books are all connected, so the idea that one of the authors wrote a best-selling pandemic book very akin to Emily St. John Mandel's Station 11, I think this could be really fun, and I'm very, very excited to support some Canadian reads. Next, I want to do another author's taste test because I read Roshani Chosky. Last year, I finished the Gilded Wolves trilogy, and I fell in love again with Roshani Choksy's writing, and I think that she could definitely be a favorite author for me. So I want to pick up more of her books, and I'm going to pick up the 3 that I have on my TBR so that I can really solidify whether or not she's a favorite author for me. So the first of which is part of her like Rick Riordan series, which is Arusha and the End of Time. This is a middle grade book that follows a main character named Arusha who has a tendency to stretch the truth in order to fit into her private middle school. One day, 3 schoolmates show up at Aru's doorstep to catch her in a lie. They don't believe her claim that the museum's lamp of Bharata is cursed, and they dare Aru to prove it. But lighting the lamp has dire consequences, and she unwittingly frees the sleeper, an ancient demon who is intent on waking the god of destruction. So that seems really, really fun. I love Rick Riordan as well. So anything looking at like gods, culture gods, that is really fun to me. Then we have The Star Touched Queen by Roshani Chokshi. This is a very interesting like misprinting. I contacted Indigo twice to send me a copy of the book, and they keep sending me this copy that doesn't have the title on it and or the side. So I just gave up. This is my fun little reject copy, but at least we have the description of what it is in the back. Maya is cursed with a horoscope that promises a marriage of death and destruction. She has earned only the scorn and fear of her father's kingdom. Content to follow more scholarly pursuits, her whole world is torn apart when her father, the Raja, arranges a wedding of political convenience to quell outside rebellions. Soon, Maya becomes the queen of Akaran and the wife of Amar. Neither role is what she expected. As Akaran's queen, she finds her voice and power. As Amar's wife, she finds something else entirely: compassion, protection, desire. But Akaran has its own secrets, and soon Maya suspects her life is in danger. Seems really, really fun, seems really high stakes, seems a little bit romantic-y. That could be really interesting. And then we have a book that has really intrigued me since it was published. This is The Last Tale of the Flower Bride. It's like sort of giving like fairy tale vibe. So it follows a man who believes in fairy tales married to a beautiful, mysterious woman named Indigo. When they exchanged their love, Indigo extracted a promise that her bridegroom would never pry into her past. But when Indigo learns that her estranged aunt is dying and the couple is forced to return to a childhood home, the bridegroom will soon find himself unable to resist. This sounds very eerie, very mysterious, very like spooky in a way. So it intrigues me a lot and I'm very excited to pick it up. And then therefore confirm whether or not Roshani Chokshi is a favorite author for me. We're actually tackling quite a bit of YA. We're going to go into finish a series with me with two really, really extremely large books. This is the last two books in the Last Magician series by Lisa Maxwell, The Serpent's Curse and The Shattered City. This is a series that I absolutely adored, but always forget to finish. The Last Magician takes place in modern New York, and it is a New York like adjacent to ours. So it is very much in our timeline, but magic still exists. But the magic that does exist hides within these people who are sort of hidden from society. And the people in New York are sort of surrounded by this barrier called the Brink, where these magical people are not allowed to go in or out of the city. And our main character is this young thief named Esta. And Esta has this ability to manipulate time. And she basically is working towards this one goal where she needs to travel back to the 1900s to steal this book that contains all of the secrets of the order. And her goal is to basically destroy it so that those who have magic are essentially saved from these people who are part of the order, and the people who are part of the order want to destroy the people who have magic. Throughout the series, Esta discovers a lot of things about the order and about who she's helping, who she's working for, that go against everything that she ever knows. So I read the first two books in the series, absolutely loved them. So I just want to finish this so that I can solidify this series as one of my favorites. Obviously, the length of them has really scared me, but I think I will be able to do it. And then moving into another YA type of vlog, I want to get another Dwindle Down My YA TBR video scheduled for the summer. And this is where I read all of the YA off my shelves. I want to get them all off, which is why you see the July sort of heavily YA based. I want to tackle 3 other YA books that I have, and I want to tackle the oldest ones on my TBR. These are ones I've ordered probably like, I don't know, I feel like 10 years at this point. The first is Goose Girl by Shannon Hale. I got this because I remember specifically it is one of Haley and Bookland's favorite books, and I was very intrigued by this old school YA book. It follows Anadori Kiladra, who is the crown princess of Kildenry. She spends the first few years of her life listening to her aunt's stories and learning the language of birds, especially swans. Annie develops the skill of animal speech, but she never feels quite comfortable speaking with people. And she goes to this foreign land and she, like, I guess, sort of discovers herself. Very intrigued by this one because it was a long time that this was published and I had never heard about it before and it sounded so interesting to me. Yeah, published in 2003. So I was 10 years old when this book would have came out, which I love old school children's slash YA books. I feel like they tackle really important subjects. Then we have The Weight of Stars by Kate Ancrum. Again, Kate Ancrum is a very beloved YA author, and I read The Wicker King from them a couple of years ago, and I thought it was pretty good. I think this one could really work for me as well. It follows Ryan Byrne, who dreams about crossing the stars, but a career in space isn't an option for a girl who lives in a trailer park on the wrong side of town. So Ryan becomes her circumstances and settles for acting out and skipping school with her delinquent friends. One day she meets Alexandria, a furious loner who spurns Ryan's offer of friendship. After her horrific accident leaves Alexandria with a broken arm, the girls are brought together despite themselves and Ryan learns her secret. Andrea's mother is an astronaut who volunteered for a one-way trip to the edge of the solar system. So we're looking at, I think, this relationship between the two girls, these struggles one of these girls has with accepting that her mother is gone and never coming back potentially. Kate Ancrum writes a lot of like heavy sort of topics, so I think this could be a win as well. And then finally, another really old school YA. This is Sabriel by Garth Nix. This follows a girl named Sabriel who has little experience with the random power of free magic or the dead, who refused to stay dead in the Old Kingdom. But during her final semester, her father goes missing, and Sabriel knows she must enter the Old Kingdom to find him. Soon she finds companions in a cat whose aloof manner barely conceals its malevolent spirit, and a young charter mage, long imprisoned by magic, now free in a body but still trapped by painful memories. As the three travel deep into the Old Kingdom, threats mount on all sides, and every step brings them closer to battle that will pit them against the true forces of life and death, and bring Sabriel face to face with her own destiny. These 3 YA books sound fun to me, and I'm excited to give them a go and see if they stay on my shelves or go back out into my community. Now let's move into August. So far, I only have 2 videos projected for August that would involve a reading vlog, because I think I would have my fall TBR coming out in August and then also my quarterly wrap up at some point between July and August. So I think I only have 2 videos, and I think I have a mood read vlog also scheduled in there. Basically, what this means is that I only have 2 videos to talk to you about right now. The first is I'm going to be reading books that remind other people of one of my favorite video games, which is Undertale. I love Undertale. It's so kooky and fun. And so I'm hoping that these books, I've done a lot of research, evoke that sense of like kooky weirdness, but they have a lot of like heart and something to say about like the nature of society. So the first is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. Despite this being so old, I don't know that much about it. Seconds before the Earth is demolished to make way for a galactic freeway, Arthur Dent is plucked off the planet by his friend Ford Prefect, a researcher for the revised edition of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, who for the last 15 years has been posing as an out-of-work actor. Together, this dynamic pair begin a journey through space aided by quotes from The Hitchhiker's Guide and a galaxy full of fellow travelers. So this seems spunky, this seems fun, exactly the vibe I'm going for. Then I plan to read my first Terry Pratchett with Guards. I have heard that this is where you can begin your Terry Pratchett journey. I read Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and He Who Shall Not Be Named, and it was absolutely one of the best books I ever read. So I'm really hoping that I'll like Guards as well, so I can dive into the Terry Pratchett universe. Discworld. Insurrection is in the air in Ankh-Morpork. The haves and the have-nots are about to fall out all over again. Captain Sam Vimes of the city's ramshackle night watch is used to this. It's enough to drive a man to drink, well, to drink more. But this time, something is different. The have-nots have found a key to a dormant, lethal weapon that even they don't fully understand, and they're about to unleash it to campaign terror on the city. Time for Captain Vimes to sober up. So it seems like we're going to have a reluctant sort of hero. It seems, again, very silly, very much what I saw in Good Omens that I really like. It's very British humor, which I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Douglas Adams also has, and I think that these two are really reflective of, or they sound like they're really reflective of the humor that is in Undertale as well. And then finally, a book I had never heard of before until I was researching books like Undertale, and that is The Phantom Tollbooth by Norton Juster. Everything's a bore when a toll booth mysteriously appears in his room. He drives through only because he's got nothing better to do. But on the other side, things seem different. Milo visits an island of conclusions. You get there by jumping, learns about time from a ticking watchdog named Talk, and even embarks on a quest to rescue Rhyme and Reason. Somewhere along the way, Milo realizes something astonishing. Life is far from dull. In fact, it's exciting beyond his wildest dreams. So again, we're getting some like British little punny humor that I really like. All of these seem like they reflect the like humor and joy that I saw in Undertale and what I appreciate about Undertale. Those are very exciting. And then finally, the last books I want to read for summer is to get some like, I don't know how to describe this, like fun nonfiction. I read a lot of like historical nonfiction, but something I do really like as well is biographies. I love reading biographies. I find them to be very interesting, especially when we're looking at a celebrity or of someone of note. I think they could be a great look into their psyche, a great look into their personality. And I've heard really good things about these 3 bibliography queens. The first is Paris by Paris Hilton. This is Paris Hilton's memoir, and I've heard excellent things. I feel like this really reshaped the way that society views Paris Hilton, and I think I can appreciate learning about Paris the character as well as Paris the human. On the same note, I actually think all 3 of these go along that way, because I've heard the same thing be said about Julia Fox with Down the Drain. This also reshaped the way that people view Julia Fox, saw her more than just like Kanye West's ex-girlfriend. I think this could be really interesting. It dives a lot into her childhood and the way that she thinks and behaves today. I've heard, again, nothing but excellent things about it. And then equally, another memoir that I've heard nothing but excellent things is Britney Spears' memoir, The Woman in Me. Once again, people learned a lot about Britney Spears as both a character and a human being, and learned to like reshape shape the way that they viewed Britney Spears, especially surrounding her like mental health journey. So that is finally it. Those are all of my reading plans for summer. Of course, some of these videos could be canceled, some of them can be moved into later in the year, but now you're getting a real like foresight into how I'm going to be viewing my summer. We have a lot of romance, we have a lot of fun books, we have a lot of fantasy and nonfiction. So I think my summer is going to be really, really fun. If you've read any of these books, please let me know down below what you thought about them. Did you like them? Did you hate them? Let me know. If you would like to follow me on my reading journey, I always leave a link down below to my Twitter, Goodreads, and Instagram if you would like to follow me there. Of course, granted that we still have social media and we are still able to utilize it to the best of our capabilities, you can follow me. And of course, because it is the end of the video, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. It is wonders for my channel. It makes me feel really good. And that's it. I never know how to end these things. So I will see you next time. Okay, bye.